Hey everyone, today we're watching a man sit in his car in total silence after she walked out the door. The AC is still running. So is the pain. And yet, he doesn't yell, doesn't chase, he just breathes. And if you think you can control how others feel about you, then maybe that's exactly what you haven't let go of yet. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is over there. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on a fan for some soft background noise, and let's begin today's journey together. You remember the first time you fell hard, right? Not the dating app kind of connection, I mean real gravity. The kind of woman who made you check your posture when she walked in the room. The kind who somehow made coffee taste sweeter when she sat across from you. And for a while it was effortless. She laughed at your dumb jokes. She listened like you mattered. Until one day she didn't. The shift was quiet at first. She stopped texting goodnight. Her tone changed. You tried to fix it, but it only got worse. And somewhere deep down you felt it. She didn't leave because you weren't good enough. She left because you weren't calm enough. See, most men think losing a woman happens in one big argument, but that's not how it goes. You lose her the moment you start explaining your worth too loudly. When your anger gets sharper than your words, when your insecurity speaks before your wisdom does. Philosophers still debate what makes love last, but most agree on this: safety is the soil, and nothing grows in chaos. Emotional control isn't about becoming a robot, it's about not becoming a grenade. It's standing in the middle of conflict and choosing not to explode even when you want to, even when you're right. Let me paint you a picture. You're in a restaurant. She's upset. She brings up something from weeks ago. You can feel your blood pressure rise. Your pride starts to boil. But instead of snapping back, you take a slow sip of water. You say, "Let me think about that for a second." Boom, that's power. You know what's not power? Slamming doors, using silence as punishment, explaining your feelings through screenshots and sarcasm. Real power is restraint. A woman may not always remember what you said in a fight, but she will never forget how she felt in that fight. Did she feel heard? Or did she feel like she was talking to a boy in a grown man's clothes? Now, here's the thing, and it might sting a bit. You can be smart, successful, funny, and still lose her if she feels like she's the emotional adult in the relationship. If she feels like she has to walk on eggshells around your moods. If she feels like your anger is louder than your love. And look, you're not alone. Every man at some point has let his temper speak too soon, has said something in a heated moment that echoed for years. But the ones who grow, they don't just apologize, they change how they react. Let me tell you a quick story. Guy I knew, let's call him Derek, was in a long-term relationship. Smart dude. Had his life together. But he'd lose it over the smallest things. She'd say she was tired, he'd take it personally. She'd cancel dinner, he'd accuse her of not caring. Eventually she left. Not because she didn't love him, but because loving him felt like babysitting a landmine. 3 months later, he started therapy. Not for her, but because he couldn't recognize the man he'd become. Now, same guy, same job, same apartment, but different energy. He's not trying to win arguments anymore. He's learning how to sit with discomfort and stay silent long enough for wisdom to speak. That's emotional control, not a lack of feeling, but the maturity to choose which feeling leads the room. So the next time you feel yourself spiraling, the next time her words feel like a challenge to your manhood, remember this: you can either prove you're right or you can prove you're solid, but rarely both at the same time. And you know what she'll notice. Maybe not instantly, but over time she'll feel safer. She'll open up more. She'll soften around your calm. Because in a world of men who react, you'll be the one who responds. Not with rage, not with retreat, but with presence. And that, my friend, is unforgettable. You wake up and she's already gone. No note, no goodbye. Just a quiet room and the scent of shampoo still lingering in the pillowcase. You sit at the edge of the bed, asking yourself the question that haunts most men after the dust settles. What did I do wrong? You bought the flowers, you paid for the dinners, you texted good morning, but none of it mattered because you stopped having a direction. She didn't fall out of love with you. She fell out of love with the path you stopped walking. See, here's the truth. Nobody tells you women don't fall in love with money. They fall in love with momentum. Purpose has a scent. It radiates off a man like fire. You don't even have to say it out loud. She can feel it in your posture, your pace, the way your eyes lock onto something just beyond her. And when you stop moving forward, she doesn't see a man standing still. She sees a man slowly slipping into comfort, apathy, safety, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who's lost his mission. There's an old line from Marcus Aurelius that hits different when you've been ghosted. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculation. In modern terms, stop waiting around trying to figure out what went wrong. Start building something that can't be taken from you. A woman doesn't need you to be rich. She needs to feel your drive, to know that you'd wake up at 5 a.m. with or without her, to see that when life punches you in the teeth, you get back up and go harder. Let me tell you a quick story. There was this guy who always joked he was figuring it out. Whenever someone asked about his goals, he'd shrug and say, just vibing for now, cool energy, right? Until his girlfriend of 2 years started asking, where are we headed? And he had no answer. She didn't leave because he was lazy. She left because she couldn't see herself beside a man with no compass. You ever notice how women get quiet when you're drifting? Not because they don't care, but because deep down they're grieving the version of you that used to move with purpose. Remember this: the gym you skipped, the late night scrolling, the hours lost on autopilot. She feels that. She feels it in your energy, in your eyes, in your conversations. And it whispers to her, he's not the same. Philosophers still argue about the nature of destiny, but in Stoic thought, destiny isn't something you wait for. It's something you walk toward. And the minute you stop walking, you stop becoming. Women don't want to lead you. They want to walk beside you, but only if the road is going somewhere. And you've got one job: find that road. It doesn't have to be grand. You don't need to build an empire overnight, but you do need to build something. Write the first chapter, start the damn podcast, volunteer, train, study, build. Because when you have something bigger than her, she stops being the source of your happiness and becomes the witness to your evolution. Quirky thought. Ever notice how squirrels in cartoons are always hoarding nuts like Wall Street bankers? That's you chasing validation. But a man on purpose, he's not hoarding, he's harvesting. Because when you chase purpose, you don't chase her, you attract her. Not with status, but with substance. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself, if she left today, what would you still be proud of? If the answer is silence, that's okay. But it's also your wake-up call. Start now. Start small. Just start. Because a man on fire doesn't ask to be loved. He doesn't beg to be seen. He burns. And the world, including her, feels it. You walk past a mirror and barely recognize the man staring back. There's a layer of fatigue behind your eyes. Not from work, not from stress, from a slow, quiet erosion of who you were, of what you promised yourself you'd become. You used to wake up early. You used to hit the gym like it was church. You used to speak like your words had weight. Now you keep saying, I'll start Monday. But Monday has turned into a myth, and she felt it. Here's something most men don't realize until it's too late. She didn't fall for your potential. She fell for your momentum. And when that momentum dies, so does the attraction. Self-discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about keeping your edge, and not just for her, but for yourself. Think of it like this: love is a fire, but discipline is the wood. You stop stacking it, and the flame dies out no matter how hot it once was. There's a quote attributed to Epictetus: freedom is the fruit of discipline. In other words, the more control you have over yourself, the less control the world or a woman has over your peace. Let's get practical. Remember that time you promised yourself you'd work on your side hustle. You even bought a new planner, watched 6 productivity videos, and then ended up binge watching The Office again. Yeah, that's what she felt. Not that you were lazy, but that you were untrustworthy with your own goals. And here's the psychological twist. When you break promises to yourself, you stop radiating certainty. And certainty is sexy. It's why a guy with a daily routine, even a basic one, can seem 10 times more attractive than a millionaire who coasts on vibes. Because one respects his time. The other wastes it. Let me tell you about a guy I used to coach. Let's call him Mason. Mason was heartbroken. He had all the stuff: the job, the car, the 6-figure lifestyle. But after his girlfriend left, he realized none of that mattered. What broke them wasn't infidelity or lies. It was erosion. He'd stopped pushing himself, started skipping workouts, stopped reading, started drinking more, told himself it was just a phase. But she felt it. And when she left, Mason didn't know who he was without her eyes validating him. So I asked him, if you met yourself in the street today, would you respect that man? Silence. 2 weeks later, he built a simple routine. Wake up at 6, cold shower. Write 3 things he's proud of: work, train, sleep early. 3 months later, he wasn't just looking better, he was speaking differently. More stillness, less over-explaining. That weird energy of, I don't need your approval anymore, had taken root. He met someone new after that, but the real story wasn't about her. It was that he came back. And that's what self discipline does, it brings you back to you. Quirky observation. You ever notice how squirrels never look relaxed? Always twitching, jumping, storing, panicking. That's how most men live without discipline, reacting to life instead of directing it. But a man who wakes up with a mission, he doesn't twitch. He moves with clarity. So here's your checklist. Are you keeping your word to yourself? Are you building something daily, even if it's just 1%? Are you eating like someone who wants to live long? And are you consuming content that sharpens or dulls you? Are you treating time like it belongs to someone you respect? Because that's what she's noticing. Not your abs, not your clothes, not your car, but your energy, and energy never lies. Remember, the disciplined man doesn't need to be loud. His routine speaks for him, his presence speaks for him. And when you speak to yourself with consistency, the world and the women in it begin to listen differently. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, don't snooze, don't scroll, stand up. You're not just waking up, you're returning. You're sitting across from her at dinner, phone face down on the table. You think that counts as being present. She's telling you about her day, but your mind is somewhere else. Bills, work, the guy who cut you off in traffic. You nod at the right times, smile when you should, but she knows, she feels it. You're not with her, you're just around her. Presence isn't proximity, presence is immersion. It's when your body, your thoughts, your attention, your energy all say one thing: I'm here, with you, and nowhere else. And you may not realize it, but that's one of the rarest currencies in the modern world. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, confine yourself to the present. Simple idea, insanely hard execution, especially when your phone is buzzing, when dopamine is just one scroll away, when you've trained your brain to multitask your way through life. But here's the problem: you can't multitask love. You either feel it fully or you miss it. Remember the first time you made her laugh until she snorted? Or when you brushed hair out of her face and she looked at you like you were the only man in the world? That wasn't about effort. It was about focus. You were there completely. But then the drift, not overnight, not in one big betrayal, just a few missed eye contacts, a few moments when she said something important and you didn't hear it, a few times you reached for the remote instead of her hand, and slowly, quietly, she started to vanish. Not physically, emotionally, because women don't just want your body, they want your witnessing to be felt, seen, held, not just physically, but energetically. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy named Sean, worked in tech, six-figure job, great apartment, loved his girlfriend, bought her gifts, planned surprise dates, posted her on Instagram. But she started pulling away, became busy, started saying things like, I just need space. He was confused. He thought he was doing everything right. Until one night she said it straight: I feel invisible around you. That line hit like a train because he realized, yeah, he'd been there, but he'd stopped arriving, stopped asking real questions, stopped feeling the moments. Here's the thing: presence isn't about doing more, it's about doing less but deeper. Turn your phone off during dinner, look her in the eye when she speaks, hold her hand without a destination, breathe with her, not just near her. Presence is when time slows down because you've decided nothing else matters in that second. No news, no emails, no opinions, no dopamine loops, just her and that moment. Quirky thought: you ever watch dogs at the park? They don't fake anything. They're either 100% in or completely passed out. No gray area, no pretending. That's presence. And oddly enough, that's why dogs get so much love. They see you. When was the last time you saw someone like that? Philosophers still write essays on the now, but the Stoics understood the present is the only place anything real happens. You can't love in the past. You can't listen in the future. You can only be here or miss everything. And here's what makes it even more powerful. When you're fully present, you become magnetic. Because your attention is rare, your focus becomes a gift. And people, especially women, remember how it felt to be fully received. So next time you're with someone you care about, don't try to be impressive. Just be available. Sit with them like you have nowhere better to be. Because you don't. And if that feels uncomfortable, good. That means you've been living too fast, too distracted, too distant. Slow down, lock in, be there all the way. Because presence isn't passive, it's an act of devotion. And she'll feel it. Trust me, she'll feel it. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, scrolling through photos of her from 3 months ago. She's laughing. She's glowing. She's not yours anymore. The silence in the room is loud, isn't it? No texts, no missed calls, just your own thoughts circling like buzzards. But here's the question that matters now. Are you still you when no one's watching? Because integrity isn't about what you show the world. It's about what you refuse to compromise, even in private. And that right there is what most men lose when they lose her. Not just a relationship, but their reflection. Remember when you first met her, you were probably on fire. Not desperate for love, not chasing approval, just existing fully in your own rhythm. You had a vibe, a routine, a way of moving through life that was yours. And that's what drew her in. But slowly, you started bending, canceling plans with friends just to make her feel secure, ignoring your gut to avoid conflict, smiling when you wanted to speak up, sacrificing self respect in the name of love. And when she finally pulled away, you weren't just heartbroken, you were disoriented. Because somewhere along the way, you stopped being a man with a spine and started becoming a mirror of what you thought she wanted. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." There's no footnote in that quote, no exception for heartbreak, no allowance for "I lost myself because I loved her." Just be one. And here's the reality: women don't leave because you're not rich, tall, or charming enough. They leave when they stop recognizing you, when the man who used to hold his ground starts begging, when the man who once walked with certainty starts chasing closure like a puppy with a broken leash. Let me tell you about a guy named Eli. After a rough breakup, he spiraled. Stopped going to the gym, stopped eating right, started texting her paragraphs trying to explain himself. And the more he did it, the worse he felt. Until one night he was sitting in his car outside her apartment and realized, I don't even like this version of me. That's when it clicked. She wasn't the problem. His lack of boundaries was. So he disappeared for a while, deleted her number, picked up journaling, started meditating, showed up to life again like he meant it. A few months later, she messaged him. Hey, I saw your new post. You seem different. But he wasn't trying to get her back anymore. He wasn't performing. He was just himself again. And that's the quiet superpower of integrity. When you live in alignment, the world shifts, your energy changes, your presence deepens. And women, whether past, present, or future, feel it. Quirky truth. You ever seen a squirrel try to carry a giant pizza slice? Totally unqualified, completely committed. That's how most men handle relationships when they've lost themselves, dragging something they can't carry just to feel full. But a man with integrity, he doesn't drag, he discerns. He says no more often. He walks away when his values are threatened. He stays silent when gossip is offered. He works when no one claps. He rests without guilt. Philosophers still argue whether virtue is taught or chosen. But one thing is clear: integrity is lonely at first. Then it becomes magnetic. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, is more attractive than a man who's solid. Not performative, not flashy, not trying to be liked. Just whole. So ask yourself tonight, if she saw you now, not your Instagram, not your resume, but you, would she see a man who stands for something? Or a man still shape-shifting to be liked? Because the one she respects, the one she remembers, is the one who doesn't flinch when no one's watching. She's crying on the couch. Not loud sobs, just silent tears rolling down her body, barely moving. You sit across the room, unsure whether to speak or stay quiet. Your chest tightens. Your brain starts scanning for solutions, for words to fix it. But deep down, you know, this isn't about answers, it's about energy. And right now, yours is all over the place. Stoic calmness isn't something you're born with. It's forged in heartbreak, in arguments, in those 2 a.m. moments when everything in you wants to lash out, but you don't. You breathe, you wait, you choose peace over pride, and she feels it. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That quote might sound poetic on paper, but it becomes painfully real when the woman you love is shutting down emotionally and your gut instinct is to raise your voice or disappear. Here's the truth that'll change your relationships forever. A woman doesn't fall in love with chaos. She falls in love with containment. Not in a controlling, cold way, but in the kind of way that tells her, I can hold this. I can hold you. Let me tell you about a man named Rami. Used to be hot-tempered. Grew up in a house where yelling was love language. Every disagreement turned into a storm. He'd slam doors, ghost for hours, weaponize silence. And every woman he dated left with the same words: I don't feel safe. Eventually, he hit a wall, another breakup, another mirror. And for the first time, he asked, what am I actually so afraid of? That's where stoic calmness begins. Not with pretending nothing bothers you, but with the willingness to sit with discomfort and not panic. So Rami started journaling, started noticing his emotional waves instead of riding them into destruction. When he felt triggered, he'd pause, not run. When a woman got emotional, he'd stay, not fix. 3 months in, he wasn't just calm, he was anchored. And women noticed, not because he was rich, not because he was loud, but because in a world full of men who flinch, he stayed still. Quirky observation. You ever seen a duck gliding across a lake effortless, majestic, but underneath little legs paddling like hell? That's what calmness often is. Not the absence of motion, but the invisible mastery of it. Philosophers still wrestle with the difference between suppression and strength. Here's the line: suppression is pretending, stoic calmness is choosing. Choosing to say, I hear you, instead of you're overreacting. Choosing to say, let's talk tomorrow, instead of weaponizing silence. Choosing to feel everything and still not lose your center. Because here's what women crave at the deepest level: not a man who fixes every problem, not a man who never gets mad, but a man who can hold the tension without transmitting it, who can cry without collapsing, who can feel rage without becoming destructive, who can stay when it's messy, who can lead when it's dark. And that kind of calmness, it doesn't scream, it radiates. It says, I've seen storms before, this won't break me, and it won't break us. Now, what about you? How do you handle chaos? Do you explode or do you exhale? Do you throw guilt or do you offer grace? Because whether you realize it or not, your energy teaches her how to respond. If you panic, she'll panic. If you stay grounded, she'll lean in. If you hold space, she'll open. And that's where the real intimacy lives. Not in perfect moments, but in imperfect ones handled well. So the next time she cries, don't fix her. Don't run. Don't argue with her feelings. Just sit, breathe, be the mountain, because that's what she remembers. That's what she trusts. That's what she stays for. The room is dark now. You're alone again, but not lonely. Something's shifted. Maybe it's in your spine a little straighter. Maybe it's in your eyes a little steadier. Maybe it's in your silence, no longer empty, but full of something deeper. Presence, purpose, power. You've spent so much of your life thinking love was about doing more gifts, more messages, more chasing. But now you know better. It was never about what you gave her. It was about who you were when you weren't giving anything at all. Women may notice your looks, they may enjoy your money, but what stays, what roots into their memory, is the man who could hold a moment like a flame cupped gently in his palms, not needing to control it, just steady enough not to burn. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real, grounded in your values, calm in your storms, focused on your mission, still when the world tells you to shout. Because she remembers how you made her feel, and she felt safest when you were at peace. Not passive, not numb, but power under control. So stop trying to win her back with noise. Win yourself back with silence, with structure, with sacred discipline. You'll notice something strange when you do. You'll stop chasing, and she'll start noticing. The world doesn't need another man shouting over everyone else. It needs you fully arrived, fully present, fully unshakable. So tonight, before you fall asleep, ask yourself not will she come back, but would I come back to me? Because when you become a man, you respect the right woman won't leave. She won't even hesitate. Breathe in, let it land. You're not who you were. And tomorrow you rise with purpose. End of script. Have a beautiful day.